Hello and welcome. This is a tarot reading, a monthly reading for Aries. And if you haven't before done so, please check out my introduction video, which explains a little bit about how I read the cards, what my method is, and all that kind of thing. And we're going to go ahead and get started for you. I'm going to be starting these monthly readings again, so I really kind of enjoyed them. And we're going to see what's going on in the world of our Aries friends today. Now, typically I would put the last 4 cards over here all in a row, but because we don't have very much space on this table, I'm going to lay them out in this sort of direction. And this is actually interesting because earlier I started to do the Aries reading and realized my mic was off, so I had to start over again. And unfortunately I'd already shuffled the cards back up and everything, and I didn't feel like I wanted to put everything back out the way it was. I like the randomness. I like it to hit me immediately, but you've got a very similar reading here. Some of the same ideas. So what we have for your current situation, we have the Hermit in the reverse. You're feeling kind of isolated and lonely. In the upright position, the Hermit, although it seems kind of like a lonely card, it's not a bad thing to be alone. In the upright position, it's more of like recharging, getting some me time, that kind of thing, and really connecting with yourself. But in the reverse position, you are feeling a little bit isolated and lonely. And what's crossing you or influencing you, we had the Wheel of Fortune. And what this means is it's kind of just like there's an ebb and flow, a natural way of the world. We get kind of caught up in thinking that, like, you know, you talk about like politics. We think one side can win. We think that our side is better. And it's really more of a back and forth between, you know, the two forces. There's always two forces at work, right? A duality, and in that duality, the back and forth is what kind of keeps the whole works in motion. So it's wise not to get too hung up on one side of the wheel, because as you're going up on one side, you're going down on the other, right? And so there is a sort of natural, sometimes even like a randomness, a feeling of things just kind of happen. And this is sort of influencing you. It means that, you know, it might feel like, you know, the world or others are out to get you, but it's really just more of a natural progression of events. So what you have, or what you're going away from, is the Ten of Coins in the reverse. And the Ten of Coins upright is a card of family and material success. Coins represent finances and wealth and the material in general. And so this is a completion of the journey of the material. This is a card of abundance and just really where you're wanting to go with finances. So in the reverse, this is not quite working out. This is a you know, you've put in maybe the hard work and it hasn't really paid off. You're not experiencing the financial success that you think you should be experiencing, and so you're moving away from this sort of an energy. You're moving into an energy of having a little bit more and things working for yourself. And as I was seeing in your early reading, there's an indication here that you might be storing up or hanging on to money and success. And there's a reminder here to remember why money exists, and remember to invest money into things that make you happy. Things that, not just things that are what you might think are good investments to make more money and things like that, but eventually the money has to sort of pay off somehow. And if you're living your life just to make more money, and even if you have children who depend on you, if you're constantly saving up that money and never really using it to live your own life, you might tell yourself, well, that's okay because I'm doing it for my children so that they can do what they want to do in their life. But you're fooling yourself a little bit if you think that way, because what happens is children follow their parents' example. So your children will go on to do the same thing that you're doing, and they will live their lives for their children instead of themselves. And it's kind of a never-ending cycle. And it would be better for you to devote a little bit of energy into living your own life and being happy with yourself, and your children will learn from that, and they'll learn to do the same and to live a happy, rich life, right? So, and you might not have children, but it just in the grand scheme of things, the message is to remember to invest into your own personal development and your own personal happiness, because that's sort of the well that all the energy that you have to invest in other, in affecting the world or affecting those around you, all of that energy comes from within, from having your own sense of fulfillment that you can gift to others. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? So what you have in the future, what's heading towards you, is the Pope or the Hierophant in the reverse, and this can mean feeling sort of trapped by laws or orders or traditions, or feeling like there's a little bit of an authoritative pressure on you, maybe some oppression would be the best way to put it. And it's kind of like I think that if you put your faith in institutions, if you're trying to hold on to your money, if you're trying to put it in banks and whatnot, a lot of times you'll find that sort of safety that you get, it's not absolute, and things will come along the way that kind of challenge your ideas of what's really safe and what's not. So you want to be careful with that, and that's another way of saying nothing is guaranteed tomorrow, so you have to be careful and live your life for the moment, and not just be constantly looking forward to what you're going to do in the future. The foundation of the situation is the Seven of Swords. This represents a sort of feeling of needing to get away with something, or of it's kind of a sneaky energy that you kind of feel like you've gotten something that you didn't deserve, and you need to kind of get away while you have it. And it's the figure here, he's carrying off a bunch of swords, and he's in such a rush that he ends up leaving two of them behind. So this is a hasty energy, or a feeling of needing to escape a situation as well. And this is the foundation, so it could be that you've wanted to escape your financial troubles, or your lot in life, we'll say. And that's familiar to me. I've felt that as well. And the thing about it is we can sometimes get so hung up on this pursuit of greater status or greater stature, right? Or having more. And you get this idea that you can't really stop and enjoy anything, because if you do, then it might catch up with you, right? But the overall lesson there is to remember that you have to enjoy yourself, or otherwise you're just prolonging the inevitable, and you don't want to end up toward the end of your life not feeling like you really did what you wanted to do, or not feeling like you got anything out of life, right? So what's in your crowning thoughts, your intentional mind, your conscious mind, is the Seven of Coins. And this represents a sort of this figure is looking after his crop here, sort of almost daydreaming, and it's not quite harvest time yet, but it's right there. It's right at harvest time. It's at this point that he sees the fruits of his labor, and he's just sort of basking in it and taking it all in. So it could be that you really feel like you have all this wealth, or maybe not all this wealth, but you've got a measure of success, and you might be inclined to not really do anything with it, to not harvest it. And you've got to understand the difference between money and wealth, which is what the money can get you. Money is made to be spent, but maybe not in a a superfluous way, not haphazardly, but sometimes it's important to use money to invest in yourself, right? And invest in things that you want to do, artwork. You know, it's quite expensive to get involved in some of these things that really help your soul. But the payoff in the long run is that you can find your calling, your vocation. You can find something that is not just a job that you have to work for, but something that really makes your soul sing, you know. So what you have for your advice column, or the energy that you're bringing into the situation, you have the 8 of coins in the reverse. And this indicates sort of a resistance to get to work on what's really going to help you, really going to, and when I say help you, you know, the coins represent emotions, and you've got a lot of coins in your reading here, indicating that there's at least somewhat of an abundance in the material. And it can be that if you don't have enough money, for example, you might have something else, like time, right, where you can invest in working, and it might not even cost that much. But in some way or another, there's an abundance in the material realm where you can be getting to work, like this guy, hard at work, you know, doing something that would really fulfill your soul. And you know, it's tough sometimes to change your habits, to change your workflow, to get into a state of wanting to do something, to do a project like that. But it's very much going to pay off in the long run if you do. And perhaps there's something that you've kind of had in the back of your mind, but you've been putting it off because you're tired from work, or just exhausted by everything on your plate, and with world events going on, an election and things like that, it can be kind of draining if you're constantly consuming that kind of information. So you have to learn how to limit yourself. I often say that politics are somewhat like alcohol. Some people can, you know, get completely drunk on it and they're fine. Some people, they take one little sip of it and all of a sudden they're ruining everyone's life around them. So you have to kind of know your limits. You have to be able to cultivate a sense of temperance and control in everything that you do, and watch out for things that are sapping your energy, and look for where you have the potential to do more. You know, look for where you have the potential to invest in some new venture or something that you've been doing for a long time, maybe just kind of dipping your toes in the water, but you haven't really dove in. That's what you really are looking for here. So your environment card is the Hanged Man, but he's in the reverse, right? So normally he's upside down, but here he's in the reverse. And the Hanged Man represents a sort of enlightenment, or this is, you know, it's being trapped. There's nowhere else for you to go, and so in that moment you sort of let go of everything, and there's a clarity that comes with that, because you realize there's nothing to do but let go, right? It's kind of like we're all swimming in a stream together, and some people are fighting the stream, some people are swimming upstream, and they think they're getting somewhere, but they're really not, because everything is going downstream. So if you stop resisting and you learn to flow with the water, then all of a sudden you have the full power of the river behind you, and you can kind of direct yourself way more effectively. Now in the reverse, which is how this one showed up in your reading, it can be a little bit of a resistance to that flow. So there's a lot of people around you who are really kind of resisting the flow of things, resisting the way that things are going, and it's expending a tremendous amount of energy, but that energy is maybe not very efficient. It's not getting a lot of work done, right? So I've thought about sometimes people will they'll spend a whole lot of energy you know, complaining about something or arguing about something for someone else, when it's really a lot easier for you to go do something, and that action can be quite a bit more effective. And it's not to say that, you know, having an argument, a political argument with somebody or something doesn't help in the grand scheme of things. It might change someone's mind. It very often doesn't, though, and there are there's a message here that's saying to focus on how you can make a bigger benefit to yourself, a bigger benefit to the world around you, and don't kind of sweat the small stuff so much, and get involved in something that has more of an impact, you know. Your fears are the Knight of Cups. And if I could pick it up here, the Knight of Cups is somebody who is very capable of feeling their emotions, right? Very, very capable of utilizing their emotions even, but it lacks a little bit of subtlety. So the Knights have a kind of a direct energy, and this is kind of you know, it's a fear of being a little too tugged in any particular direction by your emotions. This is perhaps, you know, you're shoving your emotions away. You're not wanting to feel the sting of your emotions. You're kind of numbing yourself a little bit, and it could be that you're just doing that by, you know, sometimes one of the most numbing things that you can have is like a cynical worldview, thinking that, you know, everything sucks or everything is not working out the way that it should in the long run and all that. So I think that this is a warning to allow yourself to feel your emotions fully. This is the only cup card that you have in your reading, and it's in your fears. So it's leading me to believe that there is sort of resistance to emotions, and especially with this one, you know, as far as the intensity and the directness of emotions, the Knight of Cups really suggests, and it's kind of a neutral card. It's not necessarily like joy, elation, or anything like that, but it's also not necessarily a sadness or anger or anything like that. This is just a desire to remove yourself from emotions in general. This is a desire I see a lot in, you know, management types and people who have to be diplomatic. They don't want to appear that they can be affected by what goes on. So this is that kind of an energy. It's like wanting to resist the emotional outburst in a way, and it could be that that's kind of feeding what's driving you away from projects that would really liven you up a little bit. So what we have in the overall outcome, or the overall message, you have the Two of Wands in the reverse. So this can indicate that you have the energy, you have what you need really to start off on this journey, to get involved in a new project or something, but you're really delaying it, and you're resisting making that first step. And it's kind of, I think it's time to make this step. It's time to act, but you know, it may not be at this extreme very moment, right? So it's time to act in the very near future. There's the opportunity. It's pretty much here. It might not be here at this extreme moment, but it will be within the course of this next month, within the course of this reading. It will be time for you to kind of get to it, right? And you know, the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands, I always get a sense of timing, right? So Three of Wands would indicate that there's like, watch out for it, it's coming at any moment, click, right? The Two, this would kind of represent get ready for it, build your energy up, do what you need to do, get the last kind of final things in order, because it's going to be time to jump on the train and go, right? So in the reverse, you've been resisting this for a while, and there's a good chance that you're still going to resist it, but you know, baby steps move us toward, you know, our heart's desires. And behind every fear that you've ever experienced in life is your wildest dreams waiting for you, right? So the overall message here is, you know, be prepared to put a little bit more effort into what really fulfills you, and if you do that, you're gonna have a better life. You really will, and those who depend on you will also have a better life, because they learn from you. We all have a tremendous ability to look out for ourselves, so it's really just about having the confidence and being able to make the decisions when the time come, to be a little bit brave, you know. So I thought that was a very good reading for you, very similar to the one that I drew earlier. And please, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to be trying out some new formats with the next couple of readings over this next few months. And let me know what you think about that as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next month.